And our next panel is about, it's called Art Sampler, where we're going to learn a little bit about the different art scenes happening in Fort Worth. And our moderator is me. I don't know if I said it before, but my name is Wesley Kirk. I'm a photographer and a filmmaker. I have a production company called Vision and Verve, and I founded Support Fort Worth Art, an arts advocacy organization, so that we can get the city to properly fund the arts. All right. And so for our wonderful guests here, we have Kathleen Culebro. Okay. She is the artistic director for Amphibian Stage here, and she's also a playwright herself. Yeah. We have Brentum Jackson, who is a writer, an actor, a psychotherapist here in DFW. You can catch him regularly at Doc Bookshop as one of the hosts of the Tuesday night open mic, so definitely go check that out. Nice. He has an upcoming picture book called Elijah's Easter Suit with Penguin Random House that is now available for pre-order, so go support. We have Rachel Golay, who is a community organizer, a songwriter, occasional vegan challah baker based in Fort Worth. Does amazing things in the music community for the arts. Yeah. We have Shasta, I've never actually said your last name. Halbrick, okay, thank you. Who is the executive director for Art Tooth, one of the best art collectives in town, does a lot of amazing things, also works with Holland Collective, doing PR for very cool organizations in town. And then we have Salem Moon, a drag queen, activist, voice actor, just all around great person. And this Friday, am I right, competing for Miss Gay USA? Miss Gay Texas. Exactly. And where can that be? How can people go support you in that endeavor? Okay.
So if you want to go, tickets are available online. You can go to get them at the door on Friday, September 29th at Club Cristal in Houston. Starts at 9 p.m. and I'm competing for the at-large title, so the best of all Texas.
Hell yeah. Support your local drag queens. All right. So we only have one mic with a lot of panelists, so hopefully we can share nicely. Well, here, we'll start with you, Kathleen. You already got the mic in hand. So it should be on, right? Yeah. Oh. Ryan's doing his job up there. He's very talented.
Hi, Ryan.
All right. So, Kathleen, could you tell us just a little bit about what is the theater scene like in Fort Worth? What are some of the theaters? Is it going great? Is it struggling? Like, whatever. Just give us the vibe.
Okay. How many minutes do I have? Stop me, because I don't want to.
Yeah. A quick overview.
We have a lot of theater in town, and you may or may not know all of the theaters. There's Jubilee Theater downtown. There's Circle Theater downtown.
Real quick, could you tell us kind of the vibe of each theater? Because
Okay.
they do have distinct personalities.
They do have distinct personalities, but what if I get in trouble?
That's a whole
Jubilee
to-do.
is very distinct in that it is an expression of the African American history of theater and current trends in African American theater. It celebrates African American culture. So that one's easy. Circle Theater, I have my own opinions about how they would see themselves. They're a contemporary theater. I would say maybe
it's a black box theater downtown,
No,
correct?
no, it's a pretty established.
Okay,
It's
gotcha.
the configuration doesn't change.
Gotcha.
They do contemporary work. They do classics. They do all kinds of things. They're about the same size as us in terms of budget and audience size, maybe a little bit bigger. Stage West, just around the corner, has 2 spaces. And there's Amphibian, but then there's a bunch of community theaters. And so they're non-professional theater companies, but also there's dozens of them in the Metroplex. And of course, for us, it's a DFW theater scene because we share so many resources. We share actors, we share directors, we share all of the designers. So there's not a big wall on somewhere on I-35. And then of course there's Bass Hall, which doesn't count. Because it's a bunch of touring stuff. No, but if you like that, good for you. Go. those are actors you're supporting. And then, yeah, there's just tons of theater. We have a live theater league that's just Fort Worth, and there's probably 30 members, 30 producing members in that company.
I think there's one very important theater you're forgetting.
Oh, there's Amphibian. I forgot. I forgot about Amphibian, but I assumed you knew about Amphibian since you're here. And I can tell you a lot about it, but I won't bore you. We're contemporary. We like to do plays that kind of get us talking and thinking, not preaching. We do not want to tell you what to think, but we want the experience to last way beyond the curtain call. I'll stop.
Thank you. Perfect. All right. And Amphibian really does some of the most interesting productions in Fort Worth, so definitely go see it. And the next show, The Visit, starts October 20th, right? All right. So definitely go see that one.
Incredible actress coming, and you might have.
Might have. All right. And Brenton, tell us, what is the literature scene like in Fort Worth? I know being a writer is a very isolating kind of art, but how does the community look like? Where do you go?
Yeah. So I think one of the most thriving scenes when it comes to literature here in Fort Worth would be the poetry scene, simply because it's the easiest to mount in a lot of ways. You don't have to depend on any publishing and people to give you the okay. You set up at a bar or a bookstore that would have you, or a library, and just share with the group of people like we're doing here in a lot of ways. The one that I am most familiar with started in downtown Fort Worth at a place called the Black Dog Tavern. It was every Tuesday night. I see you remember some Black Dog people, right? We eventually moved to the Embargo, which was another spot downtown. And now we're at the Doc Bookshop every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And you can find more information there online as the Doc Bookshop and the Doc Open Mic. Check those out. As far as writers, people who are looking to move into possibly independent publishing or traditional publishing, one of the most thriving communities would be the Fort Worth Writers Group that meets with the Fort Worth Public Library. Check that out. It's on the Fort Worth Public Library page. Also, Leaves Bookstore and Tea Shop does a writers meetup, I believe, once a month. Check their website out as well to get more details. But writers are all around, and I'm one of the hosts at the Doc Bookshop. We also have Tammy Gomez, who is another artist, activist, poet. She does an open mic every second Saturday at Arts Fifth Avenue. So check those out and stay abreast to that information. Thank you.
Incredible. That's a lot of good stuff to check out. Yeah. All right. And Rachel, I know the music scene is very diverse. There's a lot of stuff going on in a lot of different places. But what comes to mind the most to you? Like, who are some bands to note? Who are some venues that we should check out? What do you think about when you think of the music community?
Yeah, I think what I would say, and I can speak to the experience that I've had and that I've seen some other folks have in the Fort Worth music scene, is that largely for the last maybe 15 or so years, I've seen it be a space where audiences and venues are generally willing to take a chance on new artists, which is really exciting and wonderful for people who are starting out. A lot of the venues that I came up through unfortunately don't exist anymore, but we still do have great listening rooms. We've got the Post at River East, we've got Tulips, Tannehill's just opened up, and then of course like giant venues like Dickies Arena, which has actually made a concerted effort at bringing like local artists to open or like provide sort of ancillary artist support for big touring acts. But you mentioned public libraries, and I feel like I need to also just like shout out public libraries as an institution. They're fantastic. And we need to support them more than ever, I think, in this climate we're in. But the public library in Fort Worth actually has an initiative called Amplify 817, which pays artists like to license their music, and then patrons can listen to and stream the music for free. It's like an ethical Spotify with local music. So check it out. I definitely wanted to give them a plug. So yeah, they're a big supporter of the local music scene here.
Incredible. Thank you. All right, Shasta, I know the visual art scene is also very big, and we could talk about it for quite a while. But What do you think of when you think of the visual art scene, and where are the galleries and places that you mainly go to check out visual art?
Oh my gosh. Well, there's a lot. I mean, so gallery night is a good night because it shows you a list of most of the galleries, but even gallery night's a night where a bunch of galleries stay open up until 9, so people who don't generally have time to go see the galleries go. And there's 25, I think, but then even on that day, there's other littler galleries around who like aren't specifically on that list. So there's probably, I don't know, like almost 40 galleries in town that you can check out at any time. The standards are Arts Fort Worth, Art Space, Forks Art, the Pool is up and coming, and then there's also like there's Kinfolk is really amazing, Kinfolk House, and Artist de la Rosa, and then there's the Contemporary Gallery at TCU, and it's really cool because you see touring work from other cities, so that's a thing that's special about that gallery. And then beyond the galleries, there's just pop-up shows, all kinds of different things. Even in gallery night, there was a yoga studio that had some of my favorite photographers at it, and so you kind of have to really like be on top of it to know what's going on. But once you kind of figure out who to follow, then you know like this thing's popping over at Guillermo's spot, or Arttooth's doing this thing, I think, and that kind of thing. So that's all that, and then obviously the actual like cultural district with the museums, and there's programs there like at the Tuesday night at the Modern Lectures that bring in artists, and that's really an interesting way to see what artists are doing outside of Fort Worth. So
Perfect. Thank you. All right, and Salem Moon, what's the local drag scene like? Where do you like to perform? Where do you like to go see shows?
People always tell me they don't realize that there's a huge drag scene in Fort Worth. People always think Dallas and the Strip and all that kind of stuff, but we actually have a very rich history in queer anything. Before Rainbow Lounge burned down, of course, there was that whole strip with Rainbow Lounge and like Liberty Lounge area and all that kind of stuff. But now we have, like I said, Liberty Lounge. There's Urban Cowboy Saloon is where I host my trivia nights on Wednesdays. We also have Club Reflection. We have the new Rainbow Lounge and Halos. There's also, I'm trying to think of all the places that I go in Fort Worth, but there's a rich history with brunches. There's a bunch over like at Funky Picnic over in like the Arts District that I frequent over and eat lunch all the time. And then we also have the Post has been doing drag shows. But I think one of the biggest things I want to mention is that we actually have a huge charity scene in the drag community with the Imperial Court of Fort Worth Arlington. I'm a big part of that. A lot of my friends raise a lot of money for the community, and we do some really cool things. And some of the biggest drag names I know host shows all over and raise so much money just to help, bring awareness and spread love and kindness. And so you can catch me all over the place, really. I mean, you might find me singing a song on a corner somewhere. I don't know. We'll see. But I don't know if you've heard, but things have kind of been under attack recently. So people have been kind of like wondering if drag is actually a thing anymore, and I'm like, trust me, it's very alive, and we're still keeping it strong. So I encourage you, if you've never been to a show and you're interested, come to a show. Like I said, I host a show at Urban Cowboy Saloon over off Lancaster and Beach, and it's great. Every other Wednesday, you play trivia and see a drag show. They have shows almost every day. I'm actually there tonight raising money for my pageant, and then also I have to give a shout out. I know people probably won't count it, but I do because it's the longest running gay bar in Tarrant County, 1851 Club. I work there. It is my drag mother's bar. I have a lot of drag family there, and it is one of the best communities that I've been a part of. So yeah, come see a show.
Incredible. We'll keep the mic there and we'll work our way back. You kind of answered my next question a little bit, but I'll expand on it. So question I'm going to ask all y'all, so y'all can start mentally preparing, is what are some things that some reoccurring events in y'all's art scene that people can go to, and then what's the big event of the year that they need to mark their calendar for?
Yeah. Ooh. Well, every show of mine's a big event. So, no. Like I mentioned, Urban Cowboy Saloon every other Wednesday. It's called Sips and Quips, hosted by myself and Citronella Wicks Mac. We do random trivia. We do theme trivia. Like we just finished our Grammys night, so it was all music trivia. That was really fun. So that's every other Wednesday at 7 p.m. at the Urban Cowboy. There's also the pop show on Saturday nights at Urban, which is like a nighttime show. It starts at 11, so it's a little late, but it's really fun. And then if you want to catch me at 1851 Club, that's Friday, Saturday night shows that are at 11, hosted by Kiana Lee, the reigning Miss Gay Texas State at large. She's fantastic. Big events you can look forward to. I believe, let me think. I'm thinking. My biggest one is, it hasn't been confirmed yet, but they've kind of told me Trinity Pride. Yeah. So it is official. This past June, we had Trinity Pride Day on the 24th of June now in Fort Worth, which is a big deal. I hosted this past time, and hopefully I'm back hosting again. 80% chance. Yeah, it was super fun. So mark your calendars for that, Trinity Pride. If I think of anything else, I'll tell you later in the hall, I guess.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, Shasta, what's the big event of the year that we need to keep an eye on? And you also mentioned gallery nights, if you want to give people a rough idea of when those are.
So that's twice a year. It's usually the weekend after Labor Day, and then in the end of March. And then Arts Goggle, obviously, is big, started small and is now ginormous.
Arts Goggles coming up October 21st.
Yeah.
Thousands of artists take over all of Magnolia. It's my favorite day of
And
the
also
year.
they need volunteers if you really want to get involved. Megan did not brief me before this, by the way. And then, I guess those are like the big things that I'm like, these are the big days. And then, generally, any gallery, they at least once a month, most galleries have an opening. So I know Arts Fort Worth, it's always like first Friday generally. And then I'm like, what do I do? Oh, third Thursday. I was like, oh wait, I put on art shows too. Where are those? There's third Thursday when it's like okay-ish to walk around outside, where several businesses around like Leaves and Gallery 440, and then I have, we curate the stuff in the Art South
It's right across the street.
container. Yeah, in the micro park, and so that's a good day to kind of. It's usually like 5 to 8, and keep an eye on that and kind of see who all has stuff that's a creative way of showing things. There's like a bazillion more, but those are the main ones.
I like it. That's perfect. All right. Are there reoccurring shows or like something you mark your calendar for? Any big event?
It's been said, but Arts Goggle is the jam. Arts Goggle was one of the first local shows that I played. Like I think maybe the very first Arts Goggle actually, just like of my own music. So it's very special to me, and it's like amazing to see how it's grown and includes the entire arts community in Fort Worth. So definitely be at Arts Goggle. Yeah, and I would also just say, like, stay tuned to the calendars that come up for the local music venues around here. You might catch a nationally touring act, and come see the opener. I know it's like sometimes we roll in late, like, because we're like, I could skip the opening act. But often the opener is someone local and really talented, and really benefits from, just that supportive atmosphere. And so, yeah, follow, like, if you're out at a restaurant, you hear someone playing music, chances are they also have their own original stuff that they might be, mixing in with their covers, and really like follow them on social media, buy their merch. So that's my plug for just like, if you like something, let them know.
That's perfect. Thank you. All right. Any reoccurring events? You got Tuesday night open mic.
Yeah, Tuesday night open mic. I say to really kind of stay in the know, there's one guy that you should follow. Actually, I'm replacing him because he's doing another thing today at Como Community Centers. They're having the Burgers and More Book Festival. He's a local host named Michael Gwynn, so follow him on Facebook. He posts about all of the poetry and literature events that are here. So it's Michael Gwynn, Guinn. But reoccurring events, like I mentioned, Doc Bookshop open mic every Tuesday. And if you go there, I guarantee other people will be there to plug their upcoming events that may not be as regularly occurring. But also for the literature scene, I would say the Trinity River Book Festival, which just happened last weekend. So it'll be upcoming again in 2024 around this time in September. I would also mention the Texas Library Association Conference. A lot of people think you have to be a librarian to get in. No, you can just show up. I guarantee a lot of your favorite authors will be there. Last year in 2022, it was held here in Fort Worth. I think it's going to be held in Austin, but they ventured to cities, so I think Dallas may be upcoming on the list as well. The other one would be the DFW Writers Conference, which is happening in October at the Hearst Convention Center. So look that up as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, so many things. As you can tell, you could go to something every single night of your life, and your life would be richer for it. So a few things. I'm making assumptions here, but some of you may know who Kat Cohen is, the comedian, cabaret singer. She's coming in December, so she'll be here. She's kind of a big deal. Especially I hear the youngsters really like her. But also we do, for every main stage play, and we do 4 main stages a year in addition to lots of other things, we have community nights. One is we do special events surrounding that show for LGBTQIA plus night. And it's really fun to see so many people kind of coming together. And then we have under 40 night. And if you fit both bills, come both nights or choose one or the other. And then the biggest thing that we work on here, pick one, Kathleen, is during the month of June, we have what's called Spark Fest. And it is a big festival of new plays, performances, dance, lectures, all of that. And what we do, it's actually become kind of a national thing where we draw artists from around the country. We get hundreds of script submissions that we have to select from, but we also have an acting competition, and actors come from all over the country and compete and become really close-knit. Now, what we have started doing, starting in 2023 and will continue to do, is because we see so little representation among certain communities, we focus each year on a different underrepresented community. So in 2023, we focused on Middle Eastern, North African, and South Asian community actors, artists. In 2024, it will be Asian. And then who knows what will be next, because we have so many underrepresented communities coming up. But it's not just theater. We try to include everyone in the community in a lot of different ways.
That was great. And I know one other big event. You really should block off your calendar for SparkFest, because it's just a ton of stuff happening all very quickly. Another theater event I know of is Fringe Fest that happens at the Fort Worth Community Arts Center, where it's also just an insane amount of plays in one weekend. So you should block off the whole weekend for that. That just happened 2 weekends ago. So now you know for next year. Block off your calendar. So now I'm curious to hear. We'll work our way this way again. So we've learned how people can get involved as an audience member. How can people get involved to contribute to the art scene? So for theater, like how can people get cast or be part of the crew? Like what's that process look like? I mean, for someone who has an interest in it but doesn't have a clue how that works.
Yeah. So there are a lot of different ways, and it depends on your level of interest and your past expertise, obviously. We certainly always love to have volunteers come to do anything from usher to help us redesign the lobby for each show thematically, to work on costumes and things like that. If you are a theater practitioner of some sort, just reach out. Let us know that you're in town. We may not know that you're in town. We're always looking for more designers. And, but as far as getting involved, sometimes it's just about being in the seat. And it's about saying hello and letting us know that you're there, that you care about what we're doing, and we're going to find a spot for you.
Thank you. All right, sounds like open mic night's a great way. But if someone wanted to like expand on their professional career as a writer, how would they go about that?
Yeah. I would echo that. It's just about kind of showing up where that thing is happening. I think one of the biggest things here in the, I would say, DFW area, because I would have to mention Dallas, has been the Fort Worth Dallas Poetry Slam scene, which is poetry competitively. So, you show up to, especially Dallas Heroes Lounge every Friday night. They have the Dallas Poetry Slam competition. And this is a way to hone your skills as a performer of poetry. They also collect a team of the top 5 that have competed throughout that season, and they go to what's called Southern Fried Poetry Competition. And then that's everybody's team in the Southern regional area competing to see who will be kind of the national or regional champions. So that's always been a good push, especially for younger people to get involved with poetry from a perspective that's really interesting and powerful. But otherwise, I think it's, just about kind of showing up. I mean, the number of people who I've collaborated with artistically, musically, in theater. I did a one-man show at the Jubilee Theater that was solely based off of someone seeing a poetry performance, and allowed me to come in and work as, a multidisciplinary artist in the theater scene. So I say just show up and get involved, and show up. And then people will get you involved. They'll pull you in, and you'll find yourself a part of it.
All right, so if someone's playing music in their bedroom at home and they want to like start performing, where's a good place for them to start doing that?
Yeah, so definitely a plug for open mics, and honestly, I don't know. Maybe someone knows where the current open mics are, because it's like sometimes it changes, sometimes. But honestly, I mean, like that's where a lot of people cut their teeth. It's where Leon Bridges, it's where I met him for the first time. It was just like playing in the corner, and everyone was like, "What? Who is that?" So definitely open mics, but I would also say get involved. Make sure to follow Here Fort Worth, which is a part of Visit Fort Worth, and they are really trying to build the infrastructure for musicians and artists, musical artists and producers to make a living doing this work, which is getting harder and harder, like with the economic system that we have in play for arts. So Here Fort Worth is really trying to help, send people on tour and help people find bookings and, work with other artists. And they have mixers, once a month, and you can meet other people in the scene. It's really, just about kind of like showing up, introducing yourself, and definitely following Here Fort Worth and seeing what they're up to and how they can plug you in.
Incredible, thank you. All right, and Shasta, if someone loves the art that they make, but they want to get it out in the world, where's the best place for them to get their art seen? How would they go about that?
Arttooth. I've heard of it. But we don't have okay. I was just gonna say when I was trying to plan my answer that it's 2 tiers about getting involved, right? Are you getting involved because you want to support, or are you getting involved because you're an artist and you eventually want to do? Which is also the same. No artist is I don't support the arts, but I want. Anyway, so if you want to support, the main ones are there's some people who need volunteers, but galleries don't really need volunteers. And then the main thing is just showing up on the days that aren't the big days, right? You can go to an opening at Art Space or the Pool on a day that isn't gallery night, and you can, frequent some of these places that also have arts up on the wall. Any day of the week. And once you go to those things a few times, you see the same people and you start making connections, and that spreads out to figuring out who is kind of into the same things you are, and then you can start collaborating from there. And that's the same for artists. And then also for artists, keep an eye out for open calls. That's the biggest one. And then also, I believe Third Thursday has a sign up thing where you can be on their list for businesses are like, I don't know, please help me find an artist, then you can get on that list. And then Art Tooth has, we always are kind of open to proposals for the art container. And then we're about to actually do a business grant open call where I'm giving, or not me, but somebody. We're giving $3,000, $4,000 grants each to 3 artists to create artwork for businesses. And the businesses are the 411, Revive, which is going to be Portico Coffee, and then the Help Center, the LGBT, what's this whole title? Help Center. And so that's something. But if you're just starting, keep an eye out for those open calls. That's a really big one. And come out and meet people. I know it's like really hard when you're an artist because you're like, I just want to draw.
Real quick, where is a good place to look out for those open calls?
Oh, I mean, Glass Tire. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you. Crowdsource that one. All right. And so, yeah, if someone wants to try their first drag number or expand their drag career, where would they go?
So I think another thing that is a common misconception, and which is why I love doing things like this, because I can spread, the actual real information here. Anyone can do drag. It is not inherently, yes, it is a queer art form, but it doesn't discriminate against any gender identity or person or body type or skin color. So if you are a cis white man and you're straight and you have a wife and kids and you want to do drag, I know plenty of men who do that and are very successful at it. One just won Drag Race Mexico. If you're a cis woman and you just want to, enhance your features and like go out there and sing live, you can do that too. Drag is not what it used to be, where it was dressed resembled as a girl was what drag stood for. And now drag has become so mainstream and full and very valid as a theatrical art form, much like dance or cosplay if you're an anime person like myself. But yeah, if you want to start, you can go out to, there's a talent nights everywhere. They're open talent nights, basically. They're free signups. You just show up with a flash drive and a song. You can dance, you can sing, you can act, you can do comedy, whatever you want to do. And I always tell people, because I have drag kids, which is like drag families, so how I teach them how to do drag, and I have 7. It's don't know why, but I do. All of them started, and myself all started in talent nights, and I say to them all the time, I'm like, look terrible in makeup, have a bad wig, but go out there and just do it, because at the end of the day, it's getting over the initial fear of like judgment. Because, just like theater, I grew up in the theater scene, it's hard to go up on stage in front of people you don't know and bare your soul or perform your, try to memorize something and recite it and give all that emotion. And it's the same thing in drag. So 1851 Club has Thirsty Thursday talent nights. You can win $100 by just going out, and you don't even have to do drag, which is the great thing. You can just come out and do slam poetry or comedy or do live music. And if you bring people and they cheer for you at the end, you win $100. That's gas and food if I've ever heard it. $99 of gas, but Urban Cowboy in Fort Worth has a show called New Drag Kids on the Block, and it is every Sunday at about 8 or 9 o'clock, but basically now they're doing open signups right now, but usually it's like a set cast after audition season's over. But every Sunday, if you make the cast or come out, you basically get to perform 1 or 2 numbers every Sunday. You get paid to do it, and it's for drag entertainers that have less than 2 years experience. So if you're literally just starting and you want to work with some of the best in the business, the woman who owns Urban Cowboy, Sapphire Davenport, she was just the former Miss Gay US of A newcomer, and she has pageantry. The Davenport family is all from Texas, so we're all about like uplifting everybody. So she runs that, and then the current reigning Miss Gay Texas US of A at large is the one who hosts it, Loretta Armani Mack, and it's one of the best community spaces you could ever go. And even if you are interested in knowing what it's about, go see Sunday night. There's one literally tomorrow. It's these new drag like entertainers are crazy. They are so good. And I was like looking at myself like 6 years back. I'm like, I could have done better. I could have, but there's so much information. And so talent nights, there's also YouTube. Literally, I'll tell you, I taught myself how to do makeup basically from YouTube alone. Just taking my theater experience from the 20 years of theater I've done and like figuring out a way to blend or do things for stage and do things for daytime or nighttime. It's a very fun process, and that's free. So I encourage you to just go to a show and ask questions like you are now, because I have plenty of people who come to shows and they're like, so like, I know this is inappropriate. I'm like, nothing's inappropriate to ask unless you're like, you know, I don't know what would be an appropriate question. But, you know, people ask, they're like, you know, like, how is it like being a drag queen, or how do I do this? And I'm like, you can be a drag queen, because I get a lot of women who come up to me and they're like, "Oh, I wish I could do this." I'm like, you can. Yeah. I was like, there's been many biological women on Drag Race, like alone these past few years, that I'm like, it's possible. Anyone can do drag. You do drag by sitting in here and choosing the clothes you wear every day. Drag is what you put on your body and how you express yourself. It's something for everybody. So just go out and support. So hopefully I'll see you tomorrow at Urban. They have the new drag kids on the block.
Hell yeah. Well, that, again, worked perfectly for my next question, which is, what's something about your art form or art scene that you wish more people knew about? So I don't know if you just said it or if you wanted to say more.
Anyone can do drag. Drag is not a crime. I'll say it every time. I want to say, too, drag is something that I feel like we don't realize we've been around for a very long time. I mean, drag goes all the way back to Greek and Roman times. You know, think about Shakespeare, how men were dressed up in all parts. That's drag. Anytime you do a theater show, that's drag. You're putting on a costume, you're playing a character. And that's what it is. I think there's been such a weird stigma about what drag is, and maybe they relate it to maybe the burlesque scene or anything like that. And even the burlesque thing, there shouldn't be a stigma around it. It's great, it's beautiful, and it's an art form just as valid as anything else. But I think there's just this common stigma about things we fear that we don't know. And drag has done so much. I'm actually a Drag Out the Vote ambassador. It's a nationwide thing where we encourage people that are just turning 18 or, you know, younger that are learning how to vote, and we encourage people to sign up to vote and talk about, you know, how they feel and making sure they're heard. And drag is a very political scene. It's a very progressive scene, and we really do, at the first and foremost, put our art and our heart and soul first. And I wish people would go just see a show. If you ever had any questions or you had doubts on like what it was, go see a show. It's all around you. And most of the time they're free to get in. You know, at most, if you go to a brunch, you pay for food and stuff, yeah. But like most of the drag shows, some of the best in town are free. You don't have to pay to get in. And I just wish more people would be open to that, because this is something that is personal to me. It saved my life. It pays my bills now. I never thought when I was a kid I was like, I'm gonna do drag for a living. Never once did I think that. But as I grew older and I realized who I was in my artistic ability, I was like, I want to do something more fulfilling in my mind. And that's what I did. And my parents, who have been married for 36 years, they come to all my shows, and they see drag as a valid art form as well. And I just wish more people would take the time to look at it like we would music or poetry or theater, because it's huge in Fort Worth. So
I appreciate it. I did see the question card, and this has been an onslaught of information, so I want to make sure we have time for questions. So anybody have a question for our panel? Here we go. Amazing question.
I know I talk a lot, but honestly, it's space.
Yes.
We do a lot of shows in dark clubs, and sometimes we get a restaurant or a bar that's like, do a brunch. Drag needs space, and there are so many creative minds. I have a traveling drag show I take all over the country, and we do it at conventions. And the amount of times I see people being like, I've never seen a show like this. And I'm like, if you give us the space and the energy and the time and the support, and when I say support, I mean like, you know, the support of being like, we got your back no matter what. We will come up with some really cool stuff. And I think that's the biggest thing, is more businesses, more places not afraid to stand up to people that's saying we're, you know, bad people, and saying, no, these are artists that are trying to live. And as an audience member, like I said, going to shows and telling those business owners, being like, I really saw a show the other day. I think it would do really well here, and I think it's awesome. And if it's doable, then put a conversation starter, because we're business people. I literally talk to business owners all the time, and I'm like, if this is something you want to do, let me know. I can make the logistics work. And we just want to work as much as every other artist.
Perfect. Anyone else want to answer about barriers?
Where do I mean, off the top of my head, which isn't anything, I don't know who can control this specifically, is affordable living and affordable workspace. And which is, I'm trying to open a studio this month, or next month, which is tomorrow, October
Also
tomorrow.
down the street.
Also down the street. And then, like we were talking about with funding and with collaborating and in collaborating with businesses, acknowledging what the people that you have the art up. If you want, I have so many times that people are like, we just want the art on the wall, and then that's it, and it's like a dentist office, and I'm like, where is that gonna go? Like, are the people like looking to buy while they're getting a root canal? No, I'm not gonna like just put this up there, like think about like how the artist is benefiting you above and beyond, and how you can find ways to pay, even if it is you're like a new business, and like Tulips always has like the Art Tooth drink, and I get $1 every time somebody gets that drink, so please go get that drink. And just other ways to acknowledge what the people who you're working with are bringing to your business.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges is just like the economic conditions that we're in that like make it difficult to have housing and healthcare and the things that we need to survive. Because being a musician, the ways, the sort of economic models that were set up for musicians to earn money in the past have changed just like so fast in like the last, I don't know, decade or so. The proliferation of streaming, which is great. More people can hear our music, but we get a fraction of a penny, for every stream on Spotify. And so I think that it comes down to it. It's just sort of like money. and that's something that I think here Fort Worth is really trying to help with, like these grants to help people tour. I would also say, like concert venues, there's a big conversation happening nationally right now about, and internationally, I think too, about merch cuts. So there are venues that will take a pretty huge cut of the merchandise that that artists are selling while they're touring, and merch is how they're making their money, because no one's earning money on albums are not earning money, and even just like the cover from the show might not be much, but you sell a T-shirt and the venue is taking like this enormous cut. And I'm not speaking specifically about Fort Worth, but just a general issue, and so I think artists should get a cut of the bar if that's the case.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating and it's disappointing to have the conversations about just like the business side of things as an artist who, we want to draw, we want to paint, we want to write our songs, we want to perform for people and move people with our art, but we also need to eat. And so that's, and I'm lucky to have full-time employment outside of music, but if I had the opportunity, I'd just put all my time into music. So yeah, it's a little bit of a complicated answer.
I would echo what everyone has said, and I would say specifically, especially in the writing community right now, just public policy is a big thing. There's a lot of books that have been banned, so an easy way to support is to go on the Texas banned book list and look at those titles and really wonder why something like Before John Was a Jazz Giant, which is literally a book about John Coltrane that was written for children by Carol Boston Weatherford, why that is being banned, I would venture to say, especially in the world of children's literature. Beyond religious books, children's books are the only books that are written to be read communally, all right, with a group of people in a space, and they have a way of really getting back to the basis of who we are as humans, people who sat around possibly a fire years ago and shared stories and allowed our imaginations to run free with those stories. And then those stories generated other stories. So I would say definitely look into some of the public policies that are going on with Texas books bans right now, and request those books at your local library, or go buy a copy of the book from one of the local bookstores or off of bookshop.org, and that's a great way to support.
So money has been the recurring theme, and I put a great deal of the onus on city funding. Fort Worth is one of the lowest funded arts communities in not only in the state. Like, there are tiny little cities that get much higher percentage of funding, but there's a couple of other things to think about. One is sort of the cultural vilification of artists, that we're troublemakers, that we are too progressive, that we're dangerous. So there's that idea. There's also this idea that because we're doing what we love, that's our pay and that's enough. And I've even had board members say, but you get to do what you want. I say, yeah, but that does not pay my rent. And you would never expect somebody with a master's in business to make some of the salaries that we make, and yet people don't think that we're particularly bright. There are a lot of stereotypes that we're not particularly bright, that we're not particularly deserving of a higher income, because if the market could support it, the market would take care of us. And these are big topics that I am going to stop talking about. But there's the seed. Discuss over drinks and invite me.
Yes. Let's hear a round of applause for our panel here. Yeah.